My husband's bachelor party was supposed to be a fun night out. But the morning after, I found a napkin in his pocket with a lipstick kiss and a phone number. Shaking, I called it. A woman answered, "Hey baby, last night was wild." I put the call on speaker and stared at him. He turned pale as I asked, "Care to explain?" I never thought I'd be sitting here writing this. I never thought this would be my story. My wedding was supposed to be in 3 days. I should have been finalizing the seating chart, making sure my dress was steamed, and enjoying my last days as a fiancé. Instead, I was standing in my kitchen, holding a crumpled napkin with a red lipstick mark and a phone number scrawled on it. My hands were shaking. Let me back up. Nathan and I had been together for 5 years. Solid relationship. No major red flags. We had our fights, sure, but nothing that ever made me question him. His bachelor party was in Las Vegas. Classic, right? His best man, Ryan, was the kind of guy who thought one last night of freedom meant strippers, bottle service, and borderline illegal levels of debauchery. I wasn't thrilled, but I wasn't controlling either. I trusted Nathan. "I'm not into that stuff," he had told me. "It's just a night out with the guys. Some poker, a few drinks. Nothing crazy." I had no reason to doubt him. He got home the next morning, looking like absolute hell. His shirt was wrinkled, there were dark circles under his eyes, and he smelled like stale whiskey and regret. "Rough night?" I joked, expecting some exaggerated story about how Ryan lost a stupid amount of money at the blackjack table. "Yeah," he muttered, rubbing his temples. "Didn't get much sleep." That was the first thing that felt off. Nathan wasn't the type to get completely wrecked. He could hold his liquor, and even if he had a bad hangover, he was usually still himself. But he was quieter than usual. Almost cautious. Like he was thinking too hard about what to say. I let it slide. Maybe he was just exhausted. Maybe the weekend had taken more out of him than he expected. Then I did the laundry. I reached into his suit pocket and pulled out a napkin. Cheap, thin, like the kind you'd find in a bar. There was a red lipstick kiss on the corner. Underneath it, a phone number written in loopy, feminine handwriting. My stomach clenched. I told myself it had to be a joke. Maybe Ryan, being the asshole he was, thought it would be funny to plant it there. Maybe it was a leftover from someone else's table. But my gut was screaming at me. I stood there in the laundry room, napkin in one hand, phone in the other. Before I could talk myself out of it, I dialed the number. 2 rings. Then a woman's voice. "Hey baby," she purred, her voice thick with sleep. Last night was wild. The floor felt like it shifted beneath me. I put the call on speaker. I turned to Nathan, holding up the napkin. "Care to explain?" His face drained of color so fast I thought he might pass out. His jaw clenched, his hands curled into fists. "Who is this?" I asked the woman, my voice shaking. She hesitated. Who are you?" "I'm Nathan's fiancé." Silence. Then she let out a low, irritated sigh. "Of course he's engaged." Nathan finally moved, reaching for my phone, but I stepped back. "Did you sleep with her?" I demanded. He flinched. I had never seen that expression on his face before. Like he was trapped. "I was drunk," he mumbled. "I didn't. I mean, nothing happened." She literally just said, "Last night was wild." It's not what it sounds like. I didn't realize I was shaking until I looked down at my hand, still gripping the napkin. "Then what is it?" He looked at the phone. The woman was still on the line, quiet now. "Listening." He started, but then his mouth snapped shut. I turned back to the woman. "Did you sleep with him?" Another silence. Then she muttered, "You should probably ask him that." That was all I needed to hear. I hung up. Nathan ran both hands through his hair, exhaling hard. It wasn't, "Don't." My voice didn't even sound like mine anymore. His shoulders sagged. "Please, just let me explain." I could barely think. I had spent 5 years with this man. I had planned to spend forever with him. And in one night, in some shitty Vegas club, he threw it all away. Was she the only one? I whispered. His eyes darted away. And that was my answer. The silence between us was heavy. My hands felt numb, my heart was racing, and I could barely think. Was she the only one? I whispered. Nathan didn't answer right away. His eyes darted to the floor, his jaw clenched so tight I thought he might break his teeth. That was my answer. A cold wave of nausea rolled over me. How long? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. It wasn't, he stopped himself, exhaled hard, and rubbed his face. It's not what you think. Then tell me what the hell it is, Nathan, I snapped. He hesitated. It was just that night, he said, his voice hoarse. I swear. I stared at him, trying to process. So, what? I said, shaking my head. You got drunk, met some random woman, and decided to risk everything? Nathan's hands curled into fists. It wasn't like that. Then explain it to me. He opened his mouth, closed it again, and looked away. I felt like I was watching him crumble in real time. And the sick part? Some twisted part of me still wanted to believe him. But that voice in my head, the one that had told me to check his pockets, the one that had made me call that number, was screaming at me now. He was lying. I turned away, pressing my hands against the counter to steady myself. My engagement ring caught the light. A week ago, I had been showing it off to my friends, gushing about how lucky I was. Now it felt like a joke. Where were you? I asked suddenly. Nathan hesitated. What? What club? What hotel? Where did you meet her? It doesn't matter, it matters to me. I shouted, spinning around. I need to know what happened. His nostrils flared. It was at the Venetian. Ryan booked a private room. There were girls there. I drank too much. He swallowed hard. Things got out of hand. What things? He ran a hand through his hair. It was just flirting at first. Then one of them, she kissed me. I didn't stop it. The napkin in my hand burned like it was on fire. That's not what she said, Nathan. His eyes flickered with something, panic? Guilt? He knew he was caught. And then, like a puzzle piece snapping into place, something else hit me. Why the hell would she give you her number if it was just a kiss? Nathan's mouth snapped shut. I felt like I was going to throw up. Did you sleep with her? Silence. Nathan. He looked at the floor. Jesus Christ, I whispered. My entire body felt cold. He finally looked up, his eyes desperate. I didn't plan it. I didn't mean for it to happen. I let out a hollow laugh. Oh, well, that makes it so much better. Tears burned in my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. So, what? I said, my voice shaking. You just lost control? Some random woman kissed you, and you forgot you were engaged? I was drunk, stop using that as an excuse. I screamed. Nathan flinched. I could hear my own ragged breathing. The weight of it all was crashing down on me, and I felt like I was drowning. And then, another thought. A worse thought. Did you use protection? Nathan's face twisted. Oh my God. I covered my mouth. I think so. You think? I don't, I wasn't thinking straight, oh my God, Nathan. My voice cracked. I took a step back, like the distance would somehow make this less real. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. And then, like fate wanted to twist the knife even deeper, my phone buzzed in my hand. A text. From the same number I had just called. Unknown, hey, I just wanted to be honest with you. I didn't know he was engaged. I wouldn't have done anything if I had known. My stomach turned. Another text came through. Unknown, also, you should probably get tested. I dropped my phone like it had burned me. Nathan saw the texts. His whole body went rigid. What did she say? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I picked up my phone with shaking hands, turned it around, and showed him the screen. Nathan's face went completely blank. I saw it then, real fear. Not fear of losing me. Not fear of what he had done. Fear of what he might have caught. I had never felt so sick in my life. I turned on my heel and walked straight into the bathroom. I slammed the door shut and locked it. And then, finally, I let myself cry. I sat on the cold bathroom floor, my mind spinning. My breath was coming in short, uneven gasps, and my hands wouldn't stop shaking. Nathan cheated. Nathan might have given me something. And worst of all, he hadn't even told me. If I hadn't found that damn napkin, if I hadn't called, would he have ever told me? My phone buzzed again. I swallowed hard before looking at the screen. Unknown, I'm really sorry. I thought you deserved to know the truth. But there's something else you should know. My heart stopped. 3 dots appeared on the screen. She was typing. Another message popped up. Unknown, I wasn't the only one. My stomach twisted into a knot. I reread the words over and over again, hoping I was imagining them. I wasn't the only one. I shot to my feet and swung the bathroom door open so hard it slammed against the wall. Nathan was sitting on the edge of the bed, his face buried in his hands. When he heard the door, he looked up. Who else? I demanded. His face twisted in confusion. What? I held up my phone. She just texted me. She said she wasn't the only one. Who else, Nathan? His mouth opened, then closed. I took a step closer, my hands clenched into fists. Don't lie to me. Tell me right now. He swallowed hard. I don't know. What do you mean, you don't know? I practically screamed. I mean, I don't remember. I stared at him, my heart pounding. You don't remember? My voice was barely above a whisper. He shook his head, his hands gripping his hair. I was drunk, I don't remember everything, are you serious right now? I cut him off, my voice shaking. You could have slept with multiple women, and you just forgot? His hands dropped to his lap. His face was pale, his breathing shallow. It wasn't supposed to happen. Oh my God, Nathan. I felt like I was going to pass out. I staggered back a step, gripping the edge of the dresser to keep myself upright. My phone buzzed again. Unknown, there were at least 2 other girls that night. One of them left early, but the other one, well, I think she stayed with him after I left. I don't know her name, but she had dark hair and a butterfly tattoo on her wrist. I'm really sorry. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to block out the words, trying to block out the image of my fiancé, the man I was supposed to marry in 3 days, throwing away everything for a night he couldn't even remember. Nathan must have seen my expression because he stood up fast. What did she say? His voice was urgent now. I turned my phone around, shoving it in his face. You tell me, Nathan. Do you remember her? His eyes flickered to the screen. When he saw the words, his whole body tensed. That was all the confirmation I needed. You do. My voice was hollow. He squeezed his eyes shut and exhaled sharply. I don't know her name. I don't even, shut up. I felt my throat tighten. Just, shut up. I needed air. I needed to get out of here before I completely lost it. I grabbed my purse off the chair and stormed toward the door. Where are you going? Nathan's voice cracked. Anywhere but here. I was already halfway out the door when he grabbed my wrist. Wait. His grip was desperate. Please. We can fix this. We can fix this? I ripped my hand away. Nathan, I don't even know how many women you've been with. You don't even know. Do you understand how disgusting that is? He flinched like I had hit him. I need time to think, I said, my voice shaking. And then I walked out. I drove around for hours. I didn't know where I was going. I just needed to be anywhere but that apartment. At some point, I pulled into a gas station parking lot and just sat there. My phone was buzzing with missed calls from Nathan. I ignored them. And then, another number popped up. Unknown number. My stomach twisted. I hesitated, then answered. Hello? Silence for a second. Then a woman's voice. Is this Nathan's fiancé? I felt like I had been punched in the gut. Who is this? She sighed. My name's Olivia. And I think we need to talk. My throat went dry. How do you know Nathan? A pause. Then, I dated him. For over a year. Everything around me seemed to stop. What? I croaked. I didn't know about you, she said quickly. Not until a few months ago. He told me he was single. That he wasn't ready for a relationship but that he liked spending time with me. And then one night, I saw a picture of you two on Facebook. Engaged. I could barely breathe. You're lying, I whispered. I wish I was, she said. Tears burned my eyes. My head was spinning. Are you sure we're talking about the same Nathan? I asked, desperate for this to be a mistake. She described him perfectly. His height. His brown eyes. Even the stupid scar on his left eyebrow from when he fell off a skateboard in college. I was going to reach out before, but I was scared, Olivia said. And then, last night. I saw him. In Vegas. Cold. Numb. Everything in me felt completely hollow. What do you mean, you saw him? I was at the same club, she admitted. I saw him with those women. I didn't know if I should say something, but after I heard what happened, I knew I had to. I gripped the steering wheel, my nails digging into the leather. This wasn't just a drunken mistake. This wasn't just a one-time thing. Nathan had been lying to me for years. And now? I had to decide what the hell I was going to do about it. The weight of Olivia's words sat heavy in my chest. Nathan had been lying to me for years. It didn't feel real. I had spent 5 years with this man. I had planned to marry him. And now I was sitting in a gas station parking lot, talking to a woman who had been sleeping with him behind my back. My hands felt numb. How long were you together? I asked, my voice hollow. A little over a year, Olivia said. At first, it was casual. He told me he wasn't looking for anything serious. But then it got deeper. We started spending more time together. I thought we were moving towards something real. I squeezed my eyes shut. He was with me. He was living with me. Did he ever say anything about me? A pause. Then, hesitantly, not until I found out myself. I swallowed. And when you confronted him? He panicked, she admitted. Told me you were complicated. That your relationship was basically over but that he didn't know how to end it. That you were controlling, that you wouldn't let him go. He made it sound like you were the problem. My breath hitched. I knew something felt off, she continued. But I wanted to believe him. He was so convincing. He always knew the right thing to say. God. She was right. Nathan was convincing. He had convinced me for 5 years. The realization hit like a punch to the stomach. I'm sorry, Olivia said softly. I exhaled shakily. It's not your fault, I muttered. You didn't know. But I knew who was at fault. Nathan. I needed to face him. I ended the call, gripped the steering wheel, and took a few deep breaths. Then I turned the car around and drove home. Nathan was pacing when I walked in. He looked up the second I shut the door, his face twisting with relief. Jesus, I've been calling you, shut up, I said flatly. His mouth snapped shut. I took slow, measured steps toward him. He watched me carefully, like I was a live wire about to snap. Who is Olivia? His face went completely blank. Bingo. Don't even try to lie, I continued, my voice sharper now. She called me. She told me everything. Nathan's Adam's apple bobbed. You've been cheating for over a year, I said, cutting him off. You didn't just make a mistake in Vegas. You didn't just drink too much. You've been sleeping with other women for years, haven't you? His face contorted. I didn't want to hurt you, he choked out. You didn't want to hurt me? I let out a bitter laugh. Are you seriously saying that to me right now? Nathan took a step closer, hands raised. Please. Let me explain. Explain what? That you were juggling 2 relationships? That you were telling Olivia I was controlling while you were planning a goddamn wedding with me? His mouth opened and closed. You told her we were basically over, I went on, voice rising. You made me sound like some crazy woman clinging to a dead relationship. Meanwhile, you were proposing to me, picking out invitations, telling me you loved me, my voice cracked. Nathan reached for me, but I jerked back. Don't touch me, I spat. His face crumpled. I never wanted this to happen, he murmured. I swear to God, I never meant to, then why did you do it? He hesitated. His fingers twitched at his sides. And then, so quietly I almost missed it, because I could. Something inside me shattered. Nathan saw it. His face paled. I didn't mean, no, I said. You did. It was the only honest thing he had said all night. He cheated because he could. Because he never thought he'd get caught. Because he thought I'd always be there. But I wouldn't be. Not anymore. I walked to the dresser, yanked off my engagement ring, and threw it at him. It bounced off his chest, clattering to the floor. Nathan flinched like I had physically hit him. We're done, I said, voice steady. The wedding is off. I'll pack my things tomorrow. No, he choked out. Please. We can fix this. There's nothing to fix. Tears welled in his eyes. I love you. I let out a humorless laugh. No, Nathan. You love having me. You love knowing I'd always be here while you did whatever the hell you wanted. His face twisted. He looked small. I'll do anything, he whispered. Please, don't go. You should have thought about that before you ruined everything. I grabbed my car keys and headed for the door. Where are you going? He asked, voice desperate. To tell everyone the wedding is off, I said. And to warn the next woman about you before she wastes 5 years of her life. And then, I walked out. The next week was a blur of phone calls, cancelled reservations, and tearful conversations with my family. My mom was devastated but furious on my behalf. My dad? He wanted to physically fight Nathan. Word spread fast. Ryan, Nathan's best man, texted me once. Ryan, look, I know you're mad, but don't ruin Nathan's life over one mistake. I sent a screenshot of Olivia's texts and blocked him. Nathan kept calling. Begging. Apologizing. Saying he'd change. I ignored him. Because the truth was, I didn't need to hear him apologize. I didn't need to sit through another lie, another excuse. I was finally free. A few months later, I got a message from Olivia. Olivia, I ran into Nathan. He tried to tell me you were exaggerating, that you were bitter and trying to ruin his life. I told him to go to hell. I smiled at my screen. And then, for the first time in a long time, I moved on.